to the Coach V Show. Your show, Hollywood show, in fact, for personal development with expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we work to be our best and live our best life. With expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we just not think about it, just not feel on what we're going to do, but be all about that action in life, leadership, and business. Today on the Coach V Show here on Island City, where iron sharpens iron, together we rise. We have brother Austin Eckler, is a star running back for the Los Angeles Chargers and is the co-founder for Gridiron Gaming Group and the founder of the Austin, say your last name, Austin, Eckler.
Yeah, there you go, Eckler.
Yep, Eckler. I got it. I practiced it 20 times, but I just want to make sure I get it right. He has the Austin Eckler Foundation. He has been called the biggest streamer in these NFL thanks to his presence on Twitch, where he quickly became one of the most popular athletes on the platform. Following his success on Twitch, Eckler launched Gridiron Gaming Group in January of 2021. To help athletes, celebrities, and influencers develop their streaming platforms. Eckler recently unveiled the Austin Eckler Foundation, which is devoted to creating opportunities for people to fulfill their passions. The foundation's first project was the donation of a brand new gym, which I saw all over social media in Santa Barbara High. Eckler is also a co-owner of the Wild Aces franchise in the fan-controlled football league, a native of Eaton, Colorado. Eckler graduated from Western Colorado University and signed with the Chargers as a free agent in 2017. Austin Eckler of the Chargers of Los Angeles. Welcome to the Coach V Show, Austin.
Hey, thanks for having me on. That intro is nice. I like that. I like the coming with the energy.
Hey, your staff
all
sent
the
this
facts.
over. Your staff sent this over, so kudos to them. Thank you so much. Shout out to Austin's staff and his entire group and team for getting the Coach V ready with an intro, a proper intro for Austin. Austin, where are you currently, Austin?
Yeah, we're close to camp, and so I'm training out here in Las Vegas right now, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Right on. And Austin, tell our listening audience, as you're about to really embark on introducing these United States of America to who Austin Eckler is on the NFL platform. You came here before the camp even started. Let's introduce the world that listens in on Dash Radio via Island City worldwide, and also on my Facebook Live and on YouTube, who Austin Eckler is. What's your genesis point? Tell us your story, Austin.
Wow. I guess let's start top down, right? I guess the message that I've always lived by, or a few messages anyway, is, take advantage of your opportunity. And that seems like a broad statement, because it is. And there's a lot of details and a lot of backstory that, goes into the why that is what I live by. But I would say is the summary of basically how I've climbed from a little farm town in Colorado all the way to, playing my 5th year with the Los Angeles Chargers now. But just even going back to my backstory as far as like what that means to me and why it means so much, is because I came from a really small school, went to a really small college, and then just continued to climb. And ultimately came down to me being passionate about things and taking advantage of opportunities that were at hand and making sure I was tunneled on the mission that I was set out to succeed for, and ended up getting those done, right? Succeeding in those spots and continuing to build off of what I've done in the past. If you ask me any of my goals for the NFL season, it's always build on what I did in the past. There's no numbers. There's no, quantitative, like, hey, I want to get this stuff. It's always build, and it could be different ways. And that's how my life has been and built up to this point. It's not just like, oh, build off of what I did last year. It might be a different way. It might be a new way, a new path, right? And maybe I want to do more leadership this year. I never know until I can look back and say, like, this is what I did, and this is why I'm happy with what I've done. So that's a long-winded answer of a top-down view before we dive into it. But yeah, take advantage of opportunities.
Take advantage of your opportunities. Where did that come from? Who are your parents? And let's talk about and shout out that small city that you're from in Colorado.
Yeah, shout out to Eaton, Colorado,
Yeah,
and
baby.
also my mother, Suzanne Eckler, and my little brother. That's the fam right there, Wyatt Eckler as well. He's playing out in Wyoming. So go Cowboys.
Yeah. Shout out Cowboys. And then talk about your upbringing, the family house, the dynamics in the house, where sports fits in. How did that all work up growing up there in Eaton, Colorado?
Yeah, so I always have an interesting dynamic when people ask me like about sports because I didn't grow up watching sports.
Right.
My family did. My family like grew up watching, the Huskers play football. That was about it. That was about as much of sports as I got. I didn't watch any pros, basketball, baseball, football, none of that. It was just Nebraska. That's because I had a cousin that coached over there, and so my life was out on the ranch. Country music, riding horses, riding bulls, that type of life. That's what I grew up doing. That's a fun fact that people don't know about me. I grew up in the cowboy life. As I started getting older into high school, I decided, that life's not for me. But hey, gave it a shot, but I transitioned out of that. But one thing that I will say that I think really set me off on the path that I went on is living that life really taught me how to work hard.
Mm.
That's just the life out there, building fence, taking care of animals, like having a lot of responsibility at a young age, and not really being in a place where you can make excuses because you're the only help we have around here. It's like there's no one else can go do it, so you have to get it done whether you like it or not. And that was my mindset that I went into school with in sports because that's how I grew up and that's what I was just taught. And so even going through sports is like, hey, like I might not like a sport, but I'm going to do it, because I need the skills that I'm going to build from it. And so it wasn't necessarily about if I liked it or not, but it was like, hey, what's the value that I'm going to get from it? Like basketball, I didn't like basketball. I didn't like track. I liked football. Football was my sport, but I still did those other sports because of the skills that I gained from those, as far as working as a team, as far as like the actual physical skills and staying in shape that helped me play football. And so that was the passion. And the passion was the skills, right? Build myself up skills. There's no telling how successful you're going to be. However, if you look at yourself and say, man, you're well equipped with skills, whether it's social, physical, some natural born talent, then that's going to allow you to continue to move in some type of direction to progress forward.
Yeah, absolutely. In those skills, in what I coach, teach, and train the Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies and individual success coaching clients is those skills are often what we also call values. There's a
Right.
value base. There's an approach that ensures or increases the probability of success, right, Austin? So let's start with the game you didn't really like, basketball. Let's start. What are the values and the life lessons that you learned from basketball that you could share with me and the audience?
Yeah. And, in my situation, it was different too, because it wasn't just about the game of basketball. It was also my coaches.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
coach was also my strength and conditioning coach. And also my offensive coordinator for football. So it was a very tight knit group,
Right,
throughout the entire system of sports in our school. So my mom also played basketball too. So she was like encouraging me, like, you got to go play basketball.
right.
So like I was like, sure, I'll play basketball. I was terrible at shooting. Basically, I could play defense. I was that guy. I was just the hustle guy, right?
Right, right.
That guy on the team. Like, oh, he's not very good, but he could play defense, right? It's just effort kind of thing. And that's what I was. I literally gave 100% towards it, and
Mm.
just being on a team, you learn it from football and track as well, but being around a team, and this was different faces, but it allowed me to create new relationships, allowed me to get physical, actual like change of direction skills, and build that type of just physical, endurance, and then also just the working as a team and grinding together. We
Mm.
weren't the best team. Like our tallest guy my senior year was like 6'1". Right.
Right.
But we were all fast. So it was about, overcoming challenges where like we definitely have a height disadvantage, but we can run. That's the thing. So it's like working around just different problems and being able to do it in real time and compete together. And always being able to compete year round, I think also helped me as far as the skills that I've learned from, back in my earlier time playing sports.
Wow. I mean, and then so you have that sports background, but with really that ruggedness of waking up early on in the morning on a farm, and like there's no really passing the buck because you are the help.
But
How
no,
did that
exactly.
translate that farm mentality and that hustle and that grind farm work into sports? How did that help you?
Right. Yeah. Let me just paint a picture for you real quick. Like
Yeah,
imagine
yeah,
like it's summertime, right? It's hot. You know, my mom's, ex-husband, she used to build fence for a living. That's what he
right,
did. That's how we got into the ranch life. And so
right.
it wouldn't just be your fence down in the neighborhood, like your little picket fence. No, no, no. We're talking railroad jobs, like 16, 10, 20 miles worth of barbed wire fence. Like we're talking some serious fencing here. And
Holy
we got
smokes.
so yeah, yeah, yeah. And you got little Austin over here, it's a 13, 14, 15 years old, who's going to be helping building this fence. And so there's a lot of manual lifting, like out in the sun, like long hours of just straight manual labor. Like you got to work. Like there's nothing fun to me about going out and having to build that much fence,
Right,
especially I'm not getting paid for this either. I'm just here so I get food on my table,
right, right, right,
from
right.
from the parents, right? Um, so that was what I did in the summer. So it got into my mind like, okay, I never want to do manual labor again when I graduate high school. I got to get out of here. I got to make a better situation for myself because I'm done with this. This is ridiculous. And so that was my summers. My summers was football camps and building fence, and then the lake on 4th of July. That was
Right.
pretty much it. No, so 4th of July, I was like, oh, thank God, we get to hang out and take a break, but then right back to it. And so going through that and then also going and actually like grinding with the boys in
Like
sports, it made
training. After putting out on that fence, you got to go to football training, right?
well, no, see, that's later on the road. So I
Right.
get done with the summer, right? And then
Right.
now it's time for sports. I'm like, thank God. And so I go to sports and I'm grinding, but for me, it's normal because I'm like, this is what I've been doing all summer long. So I come in, I'm
Right.
ready to grind. And so it just became part of who I am as a person. And that's all I've really known is literally just grind, grind, grind. Like I sit here, I'll do 12-hour days of just working on my side businesses, just trying to get them going in the right direction, trying to help people. That's another mission that I've lived by as far as when I've gotten older, through the foundation and through Gridiron Gaming Group and just through what I'm doing right now is really trying to just help people, I guess, get in situations where they can have experiences that they can learn skills that I've learned that have helped me, become successful in the stuff that I'm doing.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then, so where is it that you started to figure out through farming and then being in sports, having your coaches in basketball also be part of the football team, is that, uh-oh, I got a shot at this. Where did you start to have that level of awareness about your abilities? Did you always have that? Did you think you were elite? When is it that you started to figure out, whether in junior high, high school, that you had a shot?
Yeah. So just going through sports, my senior year was definitely my best year, in for football, anyways. And actually, I'd gone to my, that same coach, my offensive coordinator. I was like, "Hey, do you think I have a chance to get a scholarship somewhere?" And he's like, "I thought you could as a junior. Your junior year, I thought you could have gotten somewhere." And so it seems to be the same instance in both high school and college. Like my college coaches when I was in college were the same as my high school coaches when I was in high school. They both believed in me. They were like, yeah, I think you can make
Mm,
it to the next level. But it was always that next level that was really skeptical about me because I was in a situation where it's like, he's a little undersized. He's at, a place where there's not as much, competitiveness. Like the level of play is not as high. He's just from Colorado. It's not really a big football state. And so there was doubts from the higher level. And so it was always up for me just to actually get an opportunity, which I did. When I was getting recruited for colleges, no Division I schools talked to me, not one Division I AA. Like I had I had an offer to go walk on at basically the one AA that was like 20 minutes from us.
okay.
And they wanted me to walk on and play corner. I played running
Right.
back.
Right.
I've always played running back. I was like, no, I want to play running back. That's what I know. That's what I have the most fun doing because that's me.
Right.
And finally, I had a little school called Western Colorado University come, visit me at Eaton, where I went to high school. and said, hey man, our senior running back's going to be graduating. We'd like you to come in and compete for the spot. And boom, let's go. That was the only school that came to me that wanted me to play what I wanted to play. And so that was where the connection was made. And that's why I ended up going to Western Colorado University.
So then Western Colorado University believed in you. Your coaches at all your levels believed in you. And then yet the next level scrutinized and basically hated on really your ability. Can you really play here? What was that part in you that said, nah, I'm going to prove these cats and these haters wrong? What was it?
Yeah. And it wasn't ever about that. It wasn't ever about proving these people wrong.
Yeah. What is that?
I mean, I don't give blame to the people that were always recruiting me either, because yeah, I did come from a situation where I'm undersized, not as much competition. But the thing that couldn't measure was my grind and what I've gone through in my past life. Like they have no way to know, like, oh, this dude like grind for a living. That's all this man does. Like they can't measure that. They don't know that about me. They don't have enough time to actually get to know me.
Right.
And so if you find that in someone who has some talent and is willing to work, I'm not the most talented person, but hey, I have skills, and the fact that I grind with those skills gets me, opportunities, and then I take advantage of them because that's just in my nature to continue to work at it. Or if I don't, I have to move to something else. And so even going into like the NFL, it was the same thing. It was never about proving these people wrong. It was about seeing how far I could push myself.
I like that.
How far I could push myself. And so people are always like, hey, who do you compare yourself to? And it's like, I never compare myself to a person. I like to compare myself to almost an idea. An idea, I compare myself, okay, am I looking up? Am I going forward? Am I progressing? Because that's what I'm looking up to. I want to look up to people that are progressing, that are finding a craft that they really enjoy and love, and are taking advantage of all the aspects, not just the actual game, but what the game, entails as well, as far as the community aspect, as far as, monetary, like educational, like all these different avenues that the NFL and football provides if you have success and make it to the top level. And so it was always about how can I push myself into those atmospheres, into those avenues. It was never like, even now it's like, oh, do you think you should be Pro Bowl? It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to be the best version of myself. And that's what it comes down to, right? It's not me trying to prove people wrong. It's trying to prove myself right, which in turn can prove other people wrong if they had doubts about me.
I like that. Prove myself right. I love that. And in that, Austin, a lot of times when you talk like that, it reminds me of clients that had someone that modeled that type of behavior, mentality, and feeling spiritually within. Did that come from someone around you? Who does this whole prove myself right come from? Did you see that anywhere around you, or is that something that was evoked in you?
This is a question I've been asked, like my role models. That's literally what I was kind of getting to, is like, I didn't really have that one person that I was like, this person is the person that showed me how to work hard. I think I had a lot of people around me that worked hard, a lot, and so being in an atmosphere like that, it just seemed normal. Whether it was my mom, whether it was my mom's ex-husband, whether it was like my coaches, my basketball coach would be out there playing with us. And he's going as hard as he can, 33-year-old dude out there, with these high schoolers. And so everyone around me just seemed like, especially in the farm town, it was just like everyone has to go put their work in for themselves so they can actually even survive in this type of land and type of environment. And I was just exposed to that really early on, as far as actually being in it. Hey, you have to go work. Like, you don't get to just wait till you're 13, 14. No, you're working now. Like, you get out there, feed the horses, like take care of all these animals, go help us build some fence, stuff like that. And so I think being around the atmosphere, I don't think it was necessarily one person, but the atmosphere as far as working hard and actually having, I almost call it an opportunity. It's because to me at the time, it seemed like, man, this sucks. But now I look back, that was the opportunity for me to learn a lesson on how to actually go about getting stuff done in an independent business and working towards like building yourself and trying to actually self-sustain.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. I love that prove to myself aspect. I love that approach. So in that, In the Polynesian community, which the majority of my audience is, I mean, football is king. So for a high school kid that may be watching this right now, so I know like my nephew JJ is going to be watching this. He's a senior in high school that didn't get picked up anywhere, and he's going to be going the JC route. What are the lessons that you learned from high school that these high school athletes that are watching this show, they need to consider in bringing that to the next level? What is that, Austin?
Yeah. Yeah, we've kind of touched on it sporadically, but I'll kind of just simplify it. Is especially if you're in high school or even if you're in college trying to make it to the next level and just trying to pursue, some type of just career in general. It comes down to, are you passionate about this? Are you 100% passionate about what you're doing? And if that's the game of football and what that holds, or it's like the team aspect, something in football that you're passionate about, hold on to that. And then here's the thing: you have to immerse yourself in it. You have to immerse yourself into your passion. What does that mean? That means you need to know everything about it. You need to train like it's the only thing that's going to keep you, sustaining. You need to learn people that are in the space that are doing things that you want to do. Talk to these people, make connections, network, and you just need to actually visualize. You need to see this. You actually need to go and you actually see yourself doing it. And here's the thing: if you immerse yourself into it like that, like I've done, I dropped out of my last semester of college to go train for pro days. I said, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that at the end of the day, I can't say that I didn't put it all out there. And even if you do that, even if you drop everything and go all in and you don't make it, guess what? It's not a failure. Because why? Because the skills you learn from immersing yourself and putting everything all in, the hard work, the dedication, the networking, the social, just the way to actually work towards one particular job, one particular goal, can also be applied to anything in life.
Anything else. Yeah, that's right.
So even if you put everything and don't make it, I'm talking to everyone. It's not even just football. It's just people in general.
Everybody.
Even if you don't make it, it's okay, because as long as you did those things and built skills out of it, you still got value out of it. And guess what? Football is really tiny in life. Football is really tiny in life. And so there's so much more outside of football that I would say is even a greater value than life. Things like family, things like connections that actually matter in the end. Because I mean, in the end, you can't play football forever, right? You could definitely have some good times, good memories. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying, yeah, go experience that. But it's not everything, right? But the skills that you learn from it can be everything and lead you to a fulfilled life at the end, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing.
No, I love that. So really, to recap, what Austin is saying is passionate, be immersed in it, visualize, and gain the skills. And whether it works out or not, you will have the value to be able to translate to everything else that you do in life, leadership, and business. What else would you add before we move on from there, Austin? Great points.
Hey, I would say, it goes for different levels too. You don't even have to be in high school. You don't have to, you could be, working. If you're working a register job somewhere, you might not like the job. You might not like it. You know that you're trying to get into a better situation, but it's okay, don't look at it that way. Don't be oh, I don't like this. Be okay, here's what I do like about it. I'm learning organization. I'm learning social skills, talking to people. Build yourself up, find the value within your situation, because if you do that, it'll add on to your skills that will open doors for new opportunities. And if you have those skills already implemented in you, you have a better chance of taking advantage of those opportunities because you're prepared. Instead of looking for an opportunity to get it and then trying to be prepared for it, become prepared. And that's how do you do that? By going out and doing things and experiencing them and learning the skills and seeing the skills that are presented in those things.
Oh, that's awesome. No, yeah, that's awesome. Great value, great value. What are some life lessons that you'd like to share to our listening audience? Let's start again for the athlete. What is the college experience like? And what's the value of going to college and pursuing a college football career in terms of your case and what it is you've gained from doing so?
Yeah. So as far as value within, a college football career specifically, I think it comes back to that team aspect, that team. And now it's a little bit closer knit team because now we're all a little older. We're all on our own. So we all rely on each other for the social life. We rely on each other to get ourselves, push ourselves. We rely on coaches too, but it really comes from the team. And also in college, now we're in a different atmosphere as far as now there's a bunch of distractions, so we also rely on each other. There's parties, now we're on our own. There's just all these things going on campus, right? Other types of games and stuff like that, just things that campuses do just to make them more intriguing. And so it comes back to being in the team, right? Be around your team, surround yourself with like-minded individuals on the team. Because I know a team, there's a lot of different people. When you come into a football team, you think, oh, everyone just hangs out together. No, that's not how it works. There's like cliques. It's very clicky, right? So you got to find people that are like-minded to you. That's what I did when I came in. I love to work out. It's like therapy for me. It's also what I like to do in my free time. So I found two of the guys that work out the most on the team. We go finish our day every single day with a workout. And so it was beneficial for me because it kept me focused. I didn't get distracted. That's the main thing. You can go have fun. Yeah, you can go to a party or two. Be smart. Definitely be smart because guess what? You're here for an education and to play football. I'm not saying don't have a good time. Never going to say that, but just understand that, especially if you're trying to make your college career into anything after that, what you do in college is going to affect your opportunities at the end of your college career as far as actually getting a look from scouts. And even further than that, it's also going to affect how you go into the real world. I tell my little brother, he's a perfect example. He plays in college right now. I'm like, make sure you learn something in college, man. Even at the NFL level, I come in, some of the guys, I'm just like, did you learn anything in college? Like,
right.
I'm like, bro, what do you like?
Did you go to class?
I'm like, what do you like? I'm glad you're good at football because if you didn't have football, I don't know what you'd be doing right now.
Right.
That's real talk right there. So I'm like, Wyatt, that's my little brother's name. I'm like, Wyatt, make sure you learn, man. You got to get some skills because if you come out of there and you don't make it to the league, guess what? You got to go get an actual job that, takes like these marketing skills, social skills, like learn that part of college. He's a business major like I was. So I'm always on him. Hey, how are your grades? What are you learning? How's things going? Because you don't want to be looking back at college and being like, man, I wish I would have taken more advantage of, my classes and while I was supposed to be there, right? Like, come on.
Right. No, that's a great message. I often talk to the high school audiences and the college audience that I speak for, Austin, about don't be casual in your romantic relationships. For me, who's married for 14 years now, Austin, my wife and my spouse is the number one relationship outside of my parents that have impacted and influenced who I am today. But there's a lot of cats that were in high school and in college and in junior college that just got what's called caught up. And because they're just being casual. And even though you can have a good time, talk about that. Talk about, hey, just be careful. Don't get caught up. Whether you're a female athlete or a male athlete, that being casual and not making sure you're focused up and that, we all make mistakes, but some errors really hang around for us for a long time in terms of bad relationships. Kids are a great outcome of relationships, but can also, when you got to provide for a kid, it really distracts and takes away from your ability to focus on other things. In general, would you have a message like that for both female and male athletes, Austin?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the college scene, I think it's a time in just, human development where you're really trying to learn who you are as a person. So I don't think it's really a real place to have like a mature, relationship. There's rare instances where, yeah, we met in college, but, it dragged on and finally we got married. But it's like, just realize if you're going into college, these people are trying to figure out, just like you are, who they are.
Right.
Like they're trying to figure out themselves. And so there's a lot of changing that happens during this time. People are finally on their own. People are starting to get older. People are realizing, okay, I need to start having a career. And so people are it's like high school kind of like leads everyone at the same path. And then, people start getting ahead as far as, hey, I want to go a career. I want to go this direction. I want to go this. And so it just comes down to, what are you actually trying to get out of school, college? What are you trying to get out of it? Because if it's, an actual like solid career, like you better be focused on, because guess what? You have so many people that are competing to have the same career that you're trying to have. So you better be focused on your school, better be focused on making sure you actually learn. And it's the thing is like, yeah, like we say, you can have fun. You can go like hang out with the boys or the girls or whatever. But when it comes down to it, the main objective literally should have it written on like a whiteboard. Like, hey, this is what I'm here for. This is what the main goal is. This is what I really need to work on every single day. And just understand, like, yeah, if you have a kid early on in your life, guess what? Now you got to change your path. Now you're a kid, and now you got to take care of a kid too, right?
Yeah,
Or
that's right. That's
right. Or if you get caught up in a relationship that's, toxic or just not mature really, because you guys are still trying to figure out yourself. It's like, hey, guess what? You're going to get older. Then you're going to have real adult problems. And, people are going to find out who they are, and you're maybe not going to be able to like that, or they're not going to like you. And so it's just like, save yourself the headache, stay focused, and then progress. And as you become more mature and actually understand, okay, I'm ready for a relationship and things like that, then you start progressing towards that type of, atmosphere in your life. But till now, like for me, it was like I didn't have a girlfriend all through college. I was literally football, workout, school, play video games with the boys. Like that was it for me.
Right. No, that's great advice and great insight. And then before we get into the NFL and then really your message to the world, and we'll go into that segment. So everybody that's tuning in, welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood radio show for personal development. Tonight on the show, we're featuring the running back for the Los Angeles Chargers, brother Austin Eckler, is here on the show, telling us his life story, sharing with us not only his success, but really his significance and the values it is that we should consider to apply in our life. In that, let's touch on a little bit the Chargers, where you are now, college and high school, into this saying, what you do off the clock is going to impact what you do on the clock. What are your thoughts on that, Austin?
Yeah, what you do off the clock affects what you do on the clock. See, for me, what I do off the clock also is what I do on the clock.
That's right.
Right? Because if we go back to what I was talking about earlier, if you immerse yourself into your passions and actually take advantage of opportunities that come from that, then your passions also become your job, also becomes what you do for a living.
That's
and
right.
Something that you continue to stay passionate about. So every day I get up and I'm working on my craft as far as football. I like this morning I woke up at 5:30, went and ran on the field because it's Las Vegas and it's still 110 degrees by 9 o'clock. So you got to get out there early, go out, get my workout in, come home, eat breakfast, and then I'll get working on like my side businesses or things that I'm passionate about that I'm really trying to help people connect. Is really what my side passion is. And so I've immersed myself in these fields. And so what you do off the clock, say you're not in a position like that. Say you're not in a position where your passions, are your job and things like that. So what you're doing off the clock, so the time where you have free time and when you actually have, time to yourself, I feel like this is the perfect time, not just to build yourself. It's definitely to build yourself, but to come down and relax and find where's my happiness, right? Where do I find that I'm the most happy? Because you might have to go work some 9 to 5 that you don't like. And that's a lot of reality for some people.
That's
but
real
hey,
talk.
This is the off the clock. So say I'm in a position where I don't really like it. Okay, now I need to come back and find a spot where I know after that I'm going to come back to a spot where I can be peace of mind. No, I'm going to be happy. I have something I'm looking forward to in the day. Because if I go through the day and I don't have anything I'm looking forward to, to me that's a failure on my part. Like, I need to find something that I'm like, yes, this part of my day, I can't wait till this comes, right? Maybe that might be the time you get off because you're going to go relax and hang out with your friends and, just, chat about your day and talk like that about what happened. But there also has to be a balance. It can't just be, I just chill all the time, right? You also have to build yourself up, right? If you just go to work and then chill all the time, complain about, how you have to go to work, then you're just going to get stuck in the cycle. Right. And you're never going to get out of that cycle. And so it has to be a balance between, okay, you have to come to your happy place, but then also be working on yourself and looking towards your goals. It might just be even trying to find out what you want to do as an actual passion or something that you want to do as an actual job, or as you continue to go and progress through your professional career. So that off the clock is, I would say, even more important than on the clock.
Real talk.
You know,
That's right.
Because it sets you up. It sets yourself up for what you're going to be doing on the clock. And that's, going back to the opportunities. It sets you up so you're prepared for the opportunities that do come when you're actually on the clock.
Great insight. Great insight. To the world and those that will either tune in on the Monday night that this show airs, or if they watch a recording of this, what is Austin Eckler's message to the world? What would that be?
Austin Eckler's message. To me, I think it comes back to 4 key points.
Okay.
It comes back to having a healthy mental health. What I mean by that, like you feel like you're fulfilled, you feel like you're going in the right direction and progressing. Mental health, physical health, you feel good. You're taking care of your body. This thing that is called your body has to last you your entire life, so take care of it. Your motivation, what am I passionate about? What am I striving to? And then your social life. Those 4 things: mental health, physical health, motivation, and social life. If you're trying to progress and better yourself in those 4 categories, I feel like there's no way that you're not going to have some type of fulfillment in your life. Because if you're progressing in those 4 things, to me, those 4 things are just the essence of that I've been going towards. Like it keeps me going, and it's what has been my driver. It doesn't, you don't have to even, know exactly what it is. It could be a bunch of different things as far as like your mental health, because mental health, it comes down to what's my perspective on life. What do I like? Maybe it's, maybe it's spiritual, maybe it's career wise, maybe it's all of that. Maybe it's, your friends and things like that make you happy. Maybe it's a dog. Like, so for you, they're all very customizable. It's you. Those 4 things I feel like make up you. And if you, like I said, if you're progressing in those, my message would be to write those down, know those for yourself, and continue to work on them, as you're just going through life.
Oh, that's a great message to the world. And as a recap to the audience, we're talking about these 4 points: healthy mental life, a great physical life. And really, I say it as this body is the only vehicle that can transport us both in the present and into the future. Right, Austin? Right?
Very true.
Austin says it a little bit different, but that's how the Coach V says it. Passion and motivation is the third, and then your social life. So those are great points. So let's talk about your projects. What are you passionate about? How do people get a hold of you? And how do people engage what it is that's going on, both with your foundation, with the gaming group, and everything else that you got going on as a business major that's majoring in business now that you're out of school? What's that like, Austin?
I never really knew what I was going to get into in business. I just loved the fact that there was, there was money, there was marketing, there was, the social like connectivity of people and business and product. And so I never knew what I was going to get into. And it didn't really hit me until like after, I guess my second season. I knew I was going to come back to business, and I didn't know what it was going to be until, like I said, after my second season, when I really found a passion for connecting to just people. And whether that's through my foundation, whether that was through streaming, whether that was through engagement on social medias, like I found a passion. Like I was just so thankful for the platform that the NFL was, because it allows me to have this very unique life. And I was like, who built this up? It wasn't me. I didn't come in here and build this up. It's the people. It's not the players. Like we have a college, there's high school football. Like they're not making millions out there playing high school football. It's because it's the players, or it's the people.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find a way to give back to the people, and as a way to say thank you, but more than a way of saying thank you. Because to me, saying thank you is not enough to give to these people that have built this platform and allowed me to live the life that I live today. I'm like, I need to find something that I can help other people connect with the people of the platforms. And that's not just in the NFL. I'm talking about NBA. I'm talking about every single platform.
Right.
Any type of platform only is a platform because of the people that are interested in actually supporting it and listening in. Just like our show right now, this show is possible because people listen.
That's right.
Right.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you had no people listening, there would be no show.
That's right.
Right. It would just be you talking in a room.
It's a diary.
We're just talking to each
It's
other.
a video diary.
Right.
Right.
So through my Austin Eckler Foundation, we spoke about at the beginning, I've tried to basically give back to communities to offer opportunities for people like, the weight room in Santa Barbara. Yeah. It's not just a weight room. To them, it might be just a weight room, but what I really know it as is a way for them to learn social skills, mental health, physical toughness, and mental toughness and teamwork, right? They're going to learn all those skills by having that resource. Okay, that's great. Okay, how can I connect, as far as with other people? So I started streaming. I started giving my time to people like, hey, let's come in, ask me questions. I'm doing a bunch of giveaways. And then I was like, how can I help other people do this? So I started my Gridiron Gaming Group to have other people in my group, and basically we all stream to our communities. We do all these engagements. We're actually like connecting with our communities that are following us, and it is a way for us to say thank you and just give ourselves back, because they're interested in us. Because we do some amazing things on the football field. Right. And so this is our way to give back and say, yeah, we appreciate you. And I'm working on a new project right now, which is an even bigger one that will go worldwide. I'm not even kidding, worldwide. And so that's what I've been spending most of my time doing, is just really trying to find a way to connect all of us together, because I feel like there's a disconnect. It's like people watch us on Sundays, right? And that's great. And then they might see us on ESPN, but what about us? What about us? Like, we're the actual product of the NFL, right? Like, why are we not giving back to our community? Well, it's because we don't have a platform to do it. So that's what I'm working on right now. It'll probably be, who knows, done within this year. But so I'm really just trying to find a way to connect us all and tell everyone, hey, I appreciate all of you guys for being fans of us, and doing it in a deeper way than just saying thank you.
Yeah. And let's go shout outs, Austin. You alluded to so many, your mom, your stepdad, your brother. You alluded to a lot of different people, your strength coach, your coaches. I want to shout out my team, and I want to shout out your team in Madison for making this connection, and making sure that everything was set for today. We had your bio. We were talking about win time for the last 3 weeks. Well, when can we connect? And so it takes a team effort and people like you're saying. So I want to shout out Madison. Thank Madison for hooking us up. Who are your shout outs, Austin?
I think I've given some of my shout outs, but I'll give them again. A shout out to my mother. Always got to shout out moms. She's raised me, allowed me to have life in this world. So shout out to my mother, Suzanne Eckler. Shout out to my little brother for out there grinding and listening to me, heckle on him, because I care about him, right?
Right.
I care about him, so I want to see him do well. So that's why I'm hard on him.
And he's playing for Wyoming, the Cowboys, correct?
Yeah.
And what's his first name so we can watch him?
It's Wyett, Wyatt. And then Eckler.
Got it. Wyatt Eckler. Got it.
Yeah. Go check him out. I play safety out there. And I guess, I'll give a shout out to Eaton, Colorado too, because that's where it all began for me. I went kindergarten through 12th there. And then also shout out to Western Colorado University. Shout out to the Chargers. And then last but not least, shout out to all the fans, all the community members out there that are passionate about, some type of platform or person, because you are really the people that allow us to continue to do what we love. And we need to get back more. And I'm going to help us all do that. So stay tuned. But yeah, shout out to you, the listeners, for tuning into this as well.
Yeah. Thank you to the listeners for tuning in. And then, my family started watching the Chargers because you guys were on that HBO show, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So how is that? How is that? Talk to the audience for those people that don't know what it feels like to compete for a spot. Talk about your NFL experience with the Chargers. How are things going with the Chargers? And maybe you could give us some foresight and a forecast into what's to come.
Yeah, just briefly early on in my career, I was undrafted. I was sixth string, meaning there was 5 people in front of me. And if you don't know, an NFL roster, we usually take 3 running backs. So half of us weren't going to make it. So I'm looking around like, oh God, because I'm only getting like 4 or 5 reps of practice, right? But all these reps, like I'm not killing it or doing anything, but I'm doing my job. I
Right.
was doing
Right.
my job. And so that was the something I learned early on is you don't always have to make the biggest play all the time, but if you know what you're doing on every single play, then you gain trust from the organization. And then that trust turns into opportunities, and those opportunities turned into me getting more reps and me having more opportunities to make some bigger plays, which I did. And then it continued just to snowball in a cycle of more reps, more opportunities, more plays.
Great
And now
point,
I'm
Austin. That is a great point. Please continue.
right. And now look at me. Now I'm going into year 5. I'm on my second contract. I've, the starting running back for the Chargers, right? Because I continued to do my job. Had spurts of definitely like success in there. It wasn't all just, I was just doing my job. Like sometimes you got to make plays. That's what we get paid to do out here, especially if you make it into your second contract. But yeah, now it's okay. How do I expand? How to look forward? Ran into an injury last year, dealt with some adversity. I was out for 2 months. That's my longest injury I've ever had in my entire football career since I've started playing. Can't run without your hamstring, and it was torn.
Right.
So, right. So
Right.
coming back off of that, it's what's my goals for the season? Hey, let's build off what we did last year. Last year it was rough for me, so I've done all my rehab. I'm coming in, looking healthy, looking at a positive just outlook towards the season. Coming in, we have a lot of excitement around the Chargers as far as our new stadium, newer jerseys. Justin Herbert was Rookie of the Year last year. People are really excited about our quarterback. So there's a lot of hype right now. There's a lot of media attention as far as the LA teams, who's better, the Rams or the Chargers, and
Right.
really it's all hype. But the thing is, it continues to stay hype until we actually play. Right? Once we get on the field, it's time to show, hey, this is the work we put in the off season and what we talked about. What you do in the dark shines in the light. You said what you do. During when you're on clock or not on clock. That's kind of how I see it. That's kind of how I see it. Is what you do in the dark shines in the light. So we're about to find out real quick in about 2 weeks or so coming up what people have been doing during the off season. And in the NFL, it's very competitive, right? So if you're not performing, next person's taking your spot because there's people on the streets even that aren't even in the building that are competing to take your spot. That's how competitive it is. And so yeah, it's going to be great. It's a great atmosphere though, as far as like building mental toughness, because like you understand the level of competition and it pushes all of us to play at our best. And really you have to push each other like that, because when it's Sunday and there's 70,000 people in the stands,
Right.
Screaming at you, you're telling you this and that, you're out there, you're like kind of nervous. You got to be at your A game. You got to be at your A game because that's when it matters the most. And so, yeah, what you do in the dark shines in the light. And that's in all aspects of life, not just football. So yeah, looking forward to the season.
Yep. And is this update me? Is this the year that we add a game to the NFL season? How's that? That? And
yes,
what is the notion in the locker room about that?
It's split. It's split. Like younger players are like, yeah, I get to make more money. That's great. People that have made money in the league are like,
right?
Yeah, people that have made money are like, I don't really need it for an extra game, but we do get some extra insurance on the back end too. So as far as after our football career, there's a little bit more of a benefit there. But yeah, I'm like right in the middle. Like I get it. I get both sides, but I'm just like, I could deal without the game. Like it really is. Cause it's like everyone that gets hurt in that 17th game, it doesn't make playoffs. It's like, yeah, if we wouldn't have played this, you wouldn't have gotten hurt.
That's right.
Like, and then does 17 turn into 18 in another 10 years? And so it's like, I don't know. We just got to make sure we're careful as far as our bodies. Cause especially with the Chargers last year, I think half of our salary cap was, on IR, over half. And so that really hurt us. And so it, with Coach Staley, our new head coach, it's been one of his biggest, things going forward is like, hey, we have to be healthy. And so even during our off season, it was like, hey, it was all walk through. It was a bunch of, making sure we know how to practice. So when we come to training camp, we're ready to go. And everyone gets to training camp. There's no pulled hammies, torn ACL, none of that's happening because we're only walking through during the summer. Now it's in the fall. So now it's like, hey, everyone's here healthy. Everyone's been doing their work in their own time. And now it's time to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. And talk to us and the listening audience about the change in culture that you feel. versus the last staff. And I saw the show. I mean, my 9-year-old, my 12-year-old, and my wife and I, we all watched the show, right? Seeing you guys go into the stadium, talk about approach and mindset and the Charger way and how you guys phrase that. How's the new culture shift and change that you felt that you like?
Yeah. I didn't have any problem as far as like the culture that we had with our last coaching staff. I thought it was a good mindset. I thought it was, as far as like, hey, it's very professional. We come here to do business. That's absolutely what we're here to do. But it's what every NFL team's trying to find. They're trying to find the right chemistry through their coaches. Like there's definitely bad coaches, but as far as like coaching the NFL, usually all these guys are here for a reason because they're usually pretty good. Yeah. It's not even saying we have bad coaches as far as like the chemistry and how we mesh and how our team is run, as far as how our actual talent is on the team. It might have just been a little bit off, right? Because you see it all the time. Coaches will get fired, but they get picked up by a different team. Why is that? Because not because they're a bad coach, because teams are just trying to mix up the chemistry. So I think that's what we have here. I'm looking forward to seeing Coach Staley, just operate games. Really excited as far as what he's done already. He talked about his mindset. He really wants to see us compete, and he wants us to do it our way. What is our way? That means we have discussions about how we practice, discussions about how we move forward to protect ourselves and to actually get us to a place where we're competitive and ready to play on Sunday. And so those two things, I'm like, yes, let's do it. And so now it's like the only thing I really need to see is the other side, which is the game day. We haven't played games yet. Now we got to see the game day operation, see how he does as far as tactics and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm excited because, like I said before, it's a lot of hype, but it's all hype until we actually put it on the field and make it real, right? That's our job, to make all that hype legitimate.
Yeah. And welcome to the Coach V Show. And we're ending off here with the Austin Eckler, starting running back for the San Diego Chargers, and just awesome person and human being.
We got to hang on. We got to run it back. Tell them, guys, the LA Chargers.
Oh, sheesh. Oh, man, this 49er fan, the best Charger Nation. I owe you an apology for that. Oh man, I've just been
I got him, guys. I got him.
That for so many years, Austin. So that's my bad on that, from this 49er fan. But I am now. I was watching the Chargers because who was the D lineman last year that got cut? That was a free agent as well. His Fehoko. We were watching him last year, I believe. He's Billy Fehoko's son. And I think he was a D lineman with you guys for a while and then got let go. But we were watching him. We watched the Polynesian players as well. And now we're watching you for the LA Chargers. I've been duly corrected. My bad on that. And then so in that, we're in the hot seat. I'm going to ask Austin Eckler a question, and then he could tell us what comes top of mind. And my first phrase is this, Austin, and you tell us what you think. It's all hype, but unless it translates to where the hype it now comes to fruition on the field, it's just hype. Your thoughts, Austin?
I would say 100%. 100%. If something is hyped up, that means it has a lot of excitement, a lot of, skepticism about what's going to happen. And then it, before it actually happens, it's up to the people that are in the hype. I see our situation with the Chargers as being there's a lot of hype behind it, right? But we have to put in a lot of work before we can actually live up to the hype that actually is being created. And so in our situation, it's good hype, right? As far as people are excited, there's also the alternative. So, you might need to prove it wrong.
Right. So no attention and no hype, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. What would you rather have, And so it's another opportunity. We've talked a lot about opportunities, during this podcast, this chat, and it's another opportunity to actually capture that hype and then bring in those people that are being skeptical and be like, oh, maybe they can do it, maybe they can't. It's exciting, maybe they have an opportunity. And so if you execute on the opportunity, that's what we say, it leads to more opportunities. It progresses you forward. But if you don't, a lot of those people are like, yep, see, told you that was a spoof. Like, nah, it was just all hype. It actually wasn't the real deal. So I would say there's a lot of work that has to actually be put in before I'm even thinking about the hype, right? I have to actually go out and practice. I have to go meet the guys. I have to build chemistry. I have to go put in countless hours of work before we start. And then on Sunday in like, who knows, 2-3 months, then we can just see if it's really hype or if it's actually something that's legitimate. So yeah, what we do in the dark shines in the light. That's literally like been the motto of this chat.
No, I love that. I love that. What about when I say, regardless of the industry that you're in, and we've already alluded to this, we are all in the people business. Your thoughts, Austin?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I would say your connections in this world are more valuable than the money that you actually make. And yeah, let that sink in. The connections that you make in this world as far as people are more valuable than the money that you make. Because if you know people, whether it's in your industry, whether it's for friends, whether it's for family that have your back, like you can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on someone that's going to have your back or someone that's going to be there for you all the time, or connections that can get you into places where you can get opportunities in a career that you want. Because if I said, hey, you could pay, all your money to have an opportunity to do your dream job, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get it. You're probably going to put all your money on there. Hey, well, you don't have to do that. If you have a connection to that, that's the same thing. It's right. It's priceless. Like you do everything to get that opportunity, and people can help you get into places. And, it's cool if you have a bunch of money and stuff like that, but you're going to have to buy everything. If I know people, it gets me around that, right? Where I can, hey, let me talk to you. And then also it builds connections that can go further, and it spider webs out. You can't buy people. Right. You can't buy people, but you can connect with people, and can people lead you to other people, which leads you to other people. And it's literally just like a spider web. My connectivity as far as just being in the NFL has been crazy. I never pictured I'd be in some of the positions that I am right now. Like we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast, if I didn't have connections, I wouldn't have been, a part owner of the Wild Aces, right?
Right.
The fan control football team. I would have never even got close to even hearing about that, right? So you don't know what's really going to come from having connections to people. And so that's what I'll say, man. It's like connections to people is more, in my eyes, more valuable than the money that you make. And I'll leave it at that.
No, I love that. Here's a Coach V quote, alluding and connecting to all of this. Coach V says, there's money in the transaction, but the wealth is in the relationships. Therefore, in our communication, versus trying to create buy-in, win hearts and minds. Your thoughts, Austin?
Ooh, you want to read that for me again? I got to dissect that one.
Versus trying to create buy-in, because all the companies that hire me to promote and teach and coach and train on effective communication, they're always trying to create buy-in. And I ask them, I'm not really in on that. But what I teach in terms of effective communication, which is the sending of receiving information and data in the way that it was intended, is that you win a person's heart and mind. Your thoughts on that?
I think that comes back to the authenticity of just yourself, right? Like and coming back to the passions, like even what you're saying right there, I relate to that in the same way of brands like hey, let's do an activation with you. That's kind of how I see that. Like for example, like some companies like, hey, use our brand and we'll give you X amount of dollars to post it and stuff like that. It's like people see through that. Like people know who I am. People know who Austin Eckler is. People that follow me, and they know what I like, what I'm into. And if they see me with a brand that's like this does not fit with him, then that's where the money's trying to buy basically the relationship. Where it's like you can't do that because people see through that, right? Yeah. That's why I love the platform so much, because you guys are definitely loyal, right? You hold us to who we are, and if we don't, then you let us know. But it comes back. So if even on the flip side, it's like if I'm passionate about an actual brand or something like that, or like the Austin Eckler Foundation, that comes through. That's the relationship part, because I have made the relationship with my foundation, and I care about it. And when I speak about it, you hear the passion. And when I'm turning that to people that are listening, they're like, wow, like Austin really cares about this. Let me give, or let me listen to what he's saying, because now I can tell he's being authentic. Now I can tell that he actually is trying to help in some space, or actually cares about some type of product. And so, the relationships, man, connections, like, number one priority.
Yeah. And I would from a psychological and a behavioral model would call that a misalignment or incongruence in terms of a product, right? And then really
Right.
what you're passionate about. And I think you're right on in that. That is our time. Austin, the starting running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Shout out to all the Chargers fans out there and the Coach V mishap on saying that. And I wish you and your entire team and the Los Angeles Chargers just wellness, prosperity, and just an amazing season as all of us. I'm an instant fan. I already was a fan because shout out to Q, Joey Kenga, the CEO of Island City, goes, "Hey, would you interview this cat?" I was like, if that cat would come on the show, I'd love the interview. So he already signed off on you, but even more so, I think all of us that have any type of engagement with Austin Eckler is instantly becomes a fan, and we will be intrigued in following you and all that you're doing because you're just an awesome good person. And what you do with the Chargers is only going to be butter. And we also wish you nothing but success and prosperity. So thank you so much, Austin, for coming on the show. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in on Island City, broadcast from Hollywood Radio Studios. And then everyone tuning in on either Facebook, the podcast that comes out on Spotify on Tuesdays, and then also on my YouTube channel. That is our show for today. And shout out and thank you to the starting running back to the Los Angeles Chargers, Austin Eckler, for coming on the show, dropping some gems and some golden nuggets and then some. I got some notes here that I'm going to add to the Coach V playbook that I'm going to be teaching my Coach V clients. In terms of that is this: take advantage of your opportunities. Make sure that you stay passionate, fully immersed, visualize and gain the skills. Focus on your mental health, your physical health, your passion / motivation, and make sure you get your social life in order. That is the Coach V show for this Motivation Monday. And remember this, it is just not for the sake of success that you tune into this show or that we are trying to achieve anything. It is really for the sake of being our best. In doing so, we realize the best of our abilities and that anything and anything, as Austin just alluded to, and it is an example of, that we dream and work for can be achieved. This is how this success coach, keynote speaker, author, and Hollywood radio show host lives, all about faith and family. Grateful for God's amazing grace. Until next Motivation Monday, it is your boy Austin Eckler and your boy Biliami bidding you a great week. And until next time, one love, mad respect. Peace.